Good evening and welcome to the Whisky Lover Society with me, Gert Retief. And tonight, again, sample night, and we will be looking at the Glendronach Peated. Was quite looking forward to this one when I bought it last week. But before I start, I just want to point out a couple of things for all these fantastic subscribers that joined this month. I think this was my best month so far. I have gained 64 subscribers in September. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I also appreciated all the comments that I've received over the last couple of months. I love the comments. I love talking about whiskey, and I like to communicate with you guys and to receive some feedback. So with that also, if you are new, it's the first time you've seen my channel, please feel free, give it a like, give it a dislike, subscribe, but all the subscriptions will be appreciated. Still a young channel. I'm planning to take it as far as possible. Of course, I need your support for that. So tonight we are looking at the Glendronach Peated Whisky. And as a quick reminder, I will put a link here as well of the unboxing of all the samples from a lovely online shop that I found here in Brussels, of all places. A little bit expensive, but at least they give you an opportunity to buy all the samples that you can wish for. And it is not a samples that is made or bottled by the distillery. It is their own samples, so they have a huge range of whiskey that you can pick from. Doesn't matter the price. Most of them will have an option to give you a sample, and of course it makes economical sense for a whiskey YouTube reviewer to afford all these whiskies to review. So tonight, number 12 that they sent me, also fantastic. They just number the bottles, so you can also do your little blind tasting at home. I think it's a great idea. So number 12, this was the Glendronach Peated Highland Single Malt, bottled at 46% ABV. It is non-chill filtered and is no color that was added. So they are ticking all the boxes, which I really appreciated. They give you quite a lot of information. So it is matured in ex-bourbon cask. And then they do a little bit of a finishing into Oloroso sherry. And they also use a little bit of a Pedro Jimenez sherry cask as a finishing maturation. So quite interesting, the two sherries that they use. So I expect to find some fruits. I expect to find a little bit of a vanilla note. And I expect to find a little bit of sweetness also from the Pedro Jimenez cask. Quite a nice combination. So I'm going to give this a quick pour. Of course, I'm going to leave some again to share again with my friends so that they can also give their opinion on it. And of course, maybe also some of my YouTube friends that's also doing some reviews. Always a good idea to share. We are a huge community of whiskey drinkers, and of course sharing is caring. So this is a no age statement whiskey, and I've looked online from the shop that I bought this one. A full bottle of 70 centiliters or 700 milliliters will cost around 48 euros here in Belgium. High prices, high taxes. And of course, when I look just to my neighbors in Holland, also one of my favorite online stores, I can still get it for 42 euros a bottle. So not that expensive, but it is definitely not an entry level whiskey. So enough talking, on the nose. Cheers. Now this is, as expected, I get the fruitiness. I do get the vanilla notes from the ex-bourbon cask. And I get the sweetness from the Pedro Jimenez sherry cask. A little bit of a honey note coming out. A light honey, but not that exceptionally sweet honey. So quite light on the honey note. And then I get a little bit of a cinnamon note. Really nice. I do love cinnamon. I also get a little bit of a caramel note coming out. And then a little bit of the fruitiness that go into a little bit of a fresh, sweet peach note also. And a little bit perfumey. So it's got a hint of a perfumey note. I'm not specific, more something like a floral perfume. So quite pleasant on the nose actually. Also reminds me a little bit of a candy floss. Especially the green candy floss, but maybe bringing out a little bit of the fruitiness or a little bit of an apple note coming out. Also reminds me a little bit of candied bacon. And where I come from, we make dried meat out of everything, beef jerky. In my country, we call it biltong. And they make a little bit of biltong from bacon. And what I normally do is I will put some honey or some of a little bit of a molasses on it, and then I will dry it like that. So candied bacon. So quite a little bit of a savory note of candied bacon coming out. Really, really nice. So of course it is a peated one. And for those people that don't like peat, of course, this is a different peat. This is not the Isla peat. This is no medicinal peat coming out, or the smell of a hospital, or the TCP smells. There's nothing like that. So it is not a lot of peat on it. So for me, I will guess maybe between 12 and maybe maximum 20 parts per million on the phenols. So it's quite subdued. If you think about the Freus will be maybe 45, 50 ppms on the phenol notes. So quite light on the smoke. But it is nice and sweet, savory type of smell. Love it. And you do get now the sherry notes as well. So there is that Lindhofer's typical sherry notes, with a little bit of a raisin type of notes coming out, the sweetness coming out from the Pedro Jimenez. Very pleasant. Love it. So on the taste, cheers. It's a lovely sweetness, a little oak, which I did expect because it was only, it's a no age statement, so I didn't expect to see a lot of oak in it. But the sweetness and the smoke is definitely there immediately. When I get a little bit of a spicy note, and I think that comes from the 46% ABV, so definitely there is a spicy note, a little peppery note from the high ABV. So might add a little bit of water to this one to see what water does to it. The smoke, if I have to describe it, it reminds me a little bit of a campfire type of smoke. but a fire that's well lit and there's not a lot of smoke everywhere. So it's just like a distant campfire that you just get that small whiff of fire coming towards you. Really nice. Maybe with a little bit of bacon on it as well, cooking. You do taste the youthfulness on it. If you compare an old whiskey with a new whiskey, there's also always a little bit of a bite in a youthful whiskey. Anything without the age statement, you'll always pick up a little bit of the sharpness in the alcohol. And over time that mellows down, even if the higher proof starts mellowing down. This one you can still taste that it's not an exceptionally old, although I don't say what is the oldest or the youngest whiskey in it, but there is a hint of the youthfulness, but it's not unpleasant on this one. And I think that is the sweetness and the smoke that helps it out a little bit. So it starts off quite sweet, and now I get a little bit of a peppery note again, and a little bit of an oak coming out. So normally for me, by the third sip, I know exactly how oaky it's going to be. Always start with the sweetness, and then it goes for me to the oakiness. And with this one, after you had the initial oak, it disappears quite fast, and then you get a sweetness coming out again, look like a little bit of a raisiny sweetness coming out. And I think that is definitely coming from the Pedro Jimenez. Lovely stuff. And I keep on saying lovely stuff. And it's weird for me to say this because if 8-10 months ago I would have told you that I don't do peated whiskies. So my palate have changed. And I also get a little bit of a fruit, maybe something like a gooseberry taste as well. Really nice. So adding a little bit of water. It's quite, well, it's only a little bit left and I don't want to add additional to it. So I'm just going to put in 3 drops on this one. For me, always I try to put a little bit, especially it's 46% and higher, I always put a little bit of water in to see what is the effect going to be. So on this one, only like 3 drops of it. So the first thing that I get is the cinnamon. It seems to elevate the cinnamon notes. Really nice sweet cinnamon. Maybe a bit of a baked apple tart type of nose coming out. A hint of a lemon peel I get now with water added. Or maybe it is lemon zest, but it's very faint in the background. Maybe even maybe even something like a hard candy, the lemon drop hard candy. A little bit more towards that. It is really nice. I do like this one. On the taste with water. Oh, immediately, that little bit of a peppery spice that was in it without the water. You added a couple of drops of water, that tones it down. Less peppery, almost no oak. Definitely something that you can add a little bit of water. But on this one, I think if you do decide to add water, be very careful. Only a little bit will go a long way. If you add a little bit too much water, it's going to taste watered down. The oak is still there. Also more toned down as well. It's well balanced. You have a sweetness, you have the oak, and then you have the sweet again. So it's like playing a fiddle in your mouth. A really fantastic whiskey. And when now I also get a little bit of an espresso note. But it's not a extremely bitter note coming out. Very light on the aftertaste. And I also get a little bit of a vanilla note coming out. Really nice. And I keep on saying really nice. That means it must be really nice. So my thoughts, what do I think? So I think it's a fantastic whiskey or dram or entry-level peated whiskey, where you can go to your friends and say, taste this one, especially the people that says I do not like the peated ones. Most probably they have tasted really peated ones, and most time it's the Ardbeg or the Lefroy, and that is a hospital in a bottle for me. And so if they had that one, of course, as a first time, they're going to struggle going back to peat. But I think if you offer them one of these, they will be also quite surprised on the flavors that comes out of the nose and the flavors in the taste. Quite pleasant. Of course, will I buy it again? Absolutely. Definitely going to buy a full bottle. Oh, the caramel is now. Have a little bit of thyme in the glass as well. I do get now a deep, dark caramel notes coming out. Fantastic. So, back to the score. And I think I do like this one. And for me, score-wise, I'm going to give it a quite generous 88 out of 100. And I think it's well deserved. It's something that makes me happy. It fits my profile now. The sweetness, the sherry notes, quite pleasant. So please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment, and I see you next time. Cheers.